Hey everyone, welcome to this week's video, and this is a project I'm really excited for. It's actually a collaboration between myself, I'm out in Salt Lake City, Utah, Carbon 6 in Brooklyn, New York, and then Carbon Phi out of Phoenix, Arizona. And we've actually had this in the work for, I think it's been over 4 months now, and you've probably seen me post about it on Instagram. It's called the Voltage Ring, and essentially what it is we're 3 companies that all got our start. It was actually on Kickstarter back in 2015, so we've been good friends ever since then. We've kind of connected over the years, and we decided we wanted to make a ring that kind of combined everything that all 3 of us have learned in our experience over the past few years. And we thought Kickstarter would be a perfect fit for this project, seeing as we all got our start there. So I'll have more details on that later at the end of the video, but essentially we just wanted to offer this on Kickstarter as kind of a way to give back to the people who gave us our start. And so we're putting it at a price that is, I think, more competitive than anything else I've ever offered. Anyways, this video is all about the making of it, so I won't get into those details. That's going to be on the Kickstarter campaign if you're interested. But let's go ahead and go over all the material options I have laid out here. We'll talk about what makes each one unique, and then I'm going to select a few to make kind of the perfect ring for me, we'll call it. So essentially we've got, and let me pull out, I think I've got one here. Yeah, here's a prototype ring. This is cherry wood with this voltage inlay you can see here. Let me grab out a glow light. A little too bright in here to really see the glow, but I'll dim the lights and show it off better. You can kind of see that. So it's got a green inlay and that voltage inlay there, and then a green loom liner. And so this is cherry wood on the outside, really beautiful. And so essentially what your options are is you've got 3 different woods to pick from for your outer shell. So we've got this here, this is walnut. It's just a really dark, rich color. I think it looks great, very professional. And then just kind of like a midway between everything, that's what this ring is here. Cherry, it's just a lighter, got more of a red tone to it. And then the maple, I think this is actually my favorite. It's the brightest, the lightest of all the colors, and it creates a really, really cool contrast with the burnt edges that the voltage makes when we burn that channel in there. And so you'll see later why that just kind of pops and looks so cool. And then of course we've got all the different glow options here. This is what you can inlay your ring with. So I think I'm going to want to use orange for mine. It's kind of like a magma lava effect. I think it looks really cool. And then I'll use the maple here. And then for the liners, this is what kind of gives the rings their strength. We've got forged carbon fiber here, and this is proprietary to Carbon 6. He's done a lot of work researching and developing just a fantastic material. Lamborghini, if you didn't know, they use this on the Lamborghini Huracan extensively. It is beautiful. If you want to look up pictures, you can see just how amazing it is. It's got this cool, just marbleized pattern to it. And as you guys know, carbon fiber, extremely lightweight and extremely strong. So that gives the ring a lot of durability, and just that dark color gives it a lot of contrast again, especially if you were to pair it with something like that maple. And then we've got the glow loom option. This is one thing I really like. It's kind of, I think my 2 favorites are the loom and the forged carbon fiber. The loom really does make it kind of pop and stand out, and it casts kind of a glow onto your finger in the dark. It looks really cool. It's like this halo effect. And I think it goes really well with the lightning pattern that we've got on the inlay. But I'm not going to do that for this one. I'm going to go with the forged carbon fiber. I'll set that aside. And then the last option, this is titanium. So this is similar to the carbon fiber, very lightweight, very strong. You're not even going to notice the ring on your finger. Same with the carbon fiber. It's just kind of a different style. It's just that classic shiny metal. So material-wise, I've got maple for its really nice, just light color. That'll give us a good contrast once we put the lightning strike pattern into it. And then on the liner, I'm going to use that forged carbon fiber. Like I said, just giving it, again, great contrast, great strength, super lightweight. It's going to look great as well because of that cool forged carbon fiber pattern. And then an orange glow inlay. I'm hoping that once I inlay it into the ring, it'll look kind of like flowing magma going through different cracks. And so that's the idea here. Let's go ahead and get into the ring making, and I'll check back in with you at the end. Okay, my first step will be to machine a liner out of the forged carbon fiber. So I'm going to use my lathe to do that, and I'll just use my bits to machine both the inside and outside diameter to spec. Then once I'm through with that, I'll just use my diamond sanding blocks to make the edges perfectly flat. Now I'll use hole saws to cut a similar shape out of the maple, and I'll just make sure it's slightly larger, that way it'll fit around the carbon fiber liner. Then it just needs to be sanded flush and trimmed on my lathe so that it'll fit precisely around the carbon fiber. Now this next step is pretty cool. I'm using ultra thin viscosity CA glue to combine the two halves together. And because of the low viscosity, the adhesive is actually able to use capillary action in order to pull itself into even the smallest cracks in the ring. That way it'll have a secure and complete contact holding the two pieces together. And you can see how effective the capillary action itself is here. You can see in the video I just placed a few drops on the top rim of the ring, but the excess glue actually came out the bottom. So that means it traveled completely through the width of the ring, and then the excess of it came out the bottom. So that just shows that it works really well. Now I'll trim and sand down all of the surfaces of the ring, and that includes adding a comfort finish to the carbon fiber liner, because after this step I don't want to do any major shaping to the ring. Alright, now it's time for the magic. It's time to electrocute the pattern onto the ring, and to do that, I'll be adding an electrolytic solution to the ring. That way it'll temporarily conduct electricity in just long enough for me to use this super high voltage power supply to run it through it, and so it gives you a visualization of how the electricity runs through the maple. And this pattern is really what makes these rings super unique. Every single ring is going to have a completely different pattern. It's just randomized due to the way the electricity flows through the material. And it's actually deep enough that we can inlay some glow powder into that, but I'll get into that later on. Next, I need to stabilize the wood to make it waterproof, and at the same time it's also going to make it a lot more durable. And in order to properly stabilize it, I need to submerge it in a special resin and then apply a vacuum to it. So you can see I'm just putting it in the vacuum here, turning on the vacuum pump, sealing it all off, and this expands all of the air that's trapped inside the wood. And then when the vacuum is released, because it's soaked and submerged in the resin, there's nothing there to replace it except that resin. And so it quickly soaks it completely through the wood and even into even the smallest, tiniest little voids. And to give you an idea of just how effective this is, the wood can double, and in some cases even more than double in weight after this process. So you'd actually be surprised at how much resin it's able to soak up. It makes a huge difference in the durability compared to unstabilized wood, and it also makes it waterproof. Okay, next it's time to inlay the ring, and this is a step that I've spent a lot of time and energy perfecting. As you guys know, I inlay all sorts of rings in a lot of my videos, so this is kind of where a lot of my expertise lies. And you can see here in the video, my technique is fairly straightforward, but I'm being very careful and deliberate about everything I do. I've really kind of got down all the steps, how thick I need to do everything, how much the strontium aluminate I can put down, how I need to get rid of all the excess using a blast of air, all of that. And so just the combination of all of these leaves me with an inlay that has no voids, it's color consistent, and it holds itself in place permanently. That way you don't have any pieces that fragment and fall out. So it creates a really nice inlay, and you can see I just keep going layer by layer until I have it all stacked up and past the edges of the wood on the ring. So now that the inlay's in place, the rest of the steps are pretty straightforward. I just need to carefully trim it down to be flush with the edges of the maple, and then I need to sand and polish both the outside and inside of the ring to give it a perfect finish. So that's the ring, guys. I can honestly say I put my heart and soul into this one. This was such a fantastic project to be a part of. I just love collaborative efforts like this. I know I spent a lot of late nights working on this whole project, the Kickstarter especially. And I know I can speak for John and Tyler when I say that they put everything they had into this project as well. If you're interested in these rings, I'd really appreciate it if you check out the link in the description below to the Kickstarter page. We're going to have these for sale. We're going to have them at seriously an unbeatable price during the Kickstarter campaign only, to try to give back to the fans who made us what we are today. It would seriously mean so much to me if you just check it out and maybe share it with a friend if you think they're interested. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.